What's up guys and welcome back to Software Solutions, and today we're talking about Apex Legends Season 18, which is the new Revenant update. Now a lot of people are experiencing FPS loss, game stuttering, and just in general a shit show of a gameplay experience. Today I'm going to show you what you can do inside your Windows settings, inside the game settings to have the competitive advantage over your enemies. All you're going to need to do is follow my guidelines and you should be good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 18. Let's jump straight into it.
Bandit eliminated.
Death finds a way.
Small, mate.
I'm not finished with you yet. Some skinbag out there thinks they're in control. I'll rip it from their cold, dead hands.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we are in the game right now, and I'm in the settings menu, and I'm in the settings for the gameplay. Now, a lot of people obviously have their own personal preference. Every single person has their own personal preference inside this setting over here for the gameplay. Now, I can go over every single thing inside here and tell you what it does, but I really don't have to do that, because all you're going to do is you're going to come to this option, whatever option you want to change inside here, and then on the, let's just say, for instance, the minimap rotation, I have mine on. It will literally tell you on the right hand side over there what this actually does. So all you need to do is actually just hover over the setting and then read at the top right what it does. Okay, then you feel, okay, I should put this on because that's what I want. You go ahead and put it on or off. It's your own personal preference here. I can't tell you what to do here. I literally can't tell you what to do here. But what I would say is, if you want to, you can go ahead and copy every single thing I have inside here. This one over here, a lot of people do prefer the 2D version because it's less clutter on the screen when you're actually doing damage to an enemy. So that's a damage feedback, the numbers that's stacking up once you attack an enemy or whatever you're shooting an enemy. So that's the thing that a lot of people change to. They change it to 2D instead of 3D. I have mine at 3D and I still play perfectly fine. Like I said, you can copy my settings as is if you want to do so. Alright, so I'm just going to scroll down all the way over here. This thing is just something I want to point out is, if you do not want to hear the people's mics inside this game, since a lot of people have, I don't know, fucking wish.com mics, or like the mics are really bad just in general. I've heard that the game's mic in-game is really bad. Everyone uses Discord these days, so yeah, unless you're playing with someone random or whatever the case might be, you can keep this at everybody, but you can have this at friends only, obviously, then it's obviously only your party, or you can have it at nobody. This is your own personal preference, so I'm just going to leave it at everybody and just leave it like that. Yeah, I can mute the person in-game if I want to. It's very easy to do that. Reticle is something I just want to go over here, and it plays a very big role inside the game, and it's something that I do prefer that you should go ahead and customize yourself, okay? You're not going to have this a default, you're not going to have this a default. You're going to come to customize over here, and you're going to select your own personal color. Okay, now everyone has their own personal color over here. Now what you can do is you can actually go to a certain type of map and find out what is the best color for you and what will be the best for you. Now, obviously, its default is red, like this. It's a perfect color. You can keep it at red if you want to. But then, yet again, there is some places in the game where you can't see it. For instance, over here by the lava, you can't really see the red. Now, for instance, when I change this to pink, which is basically almost magenta, by doing about there, that is what I prefer. This is my own personal preference. A lot of people do prefer, like, this baby blue. And, I mean, yeah, it's fine. But yet again, you get maps where it blends in with the map. You don't want that. You don't want to be able to let that blend in with the map. So this is why I use magenta, pink, or just pink in general. Look very carefully if you see that that pink disappears anywhere on any map. It doesn't matter where you play. Pink stands out the most on every single map that you are playing right now. So I would highly recommend using this color, but it's your own personal preference yet again. Okay, so this is my one. If you want to go ahead and use it, go ahead and use it. Press escape, and you're going to come over here to the laser side as well, and then make it the same color for what you just made now. So let's just say you made yours pink, or you made yours baby blue, or you made it red, or left it red, leave it like this as well. I have mine at the same color, and then I go back, and then these two are the exact same color. All right, colorblind mode, a lot of people do prefer this one over here. A lot of people prefer this. No, it's not because you're colorblind, but what it does is it makes the things pop in general in color. A lot of people prefer this. Now, I have been playing my game like this for quite some time now, where I got so used to these colors, and then I was like, resetting my settings, and I went to off and I kept it to its defaults. Its defaults is actually better, to be honest with you. Subtitles is something you're just going to leave off, or it's your own personal preference. Yet again, I can't tell you what to do with these things over here. This is just normal. You can have this at off, have this at off, have this at off. You can just read on the right hand side what these things do. Okay, from here we're going to go to the mouse and keyboard settings, and then this is my own personal preference. Yet again, this is going to be your own personal preference also. But what you can do is I'm going to show you the settings that I'm using currently for my keyboard and my mouse for how I play this game. Now, I currently have my mouse at 1600 DPI. I'm running a SteelSeries Rival 650 wireless, and I'm running my mouse sensitivity at 4.00 and 600 DPI on my mouse. Now, a lot of people are going to have a different preference on this. It's going to be either lower or it's going to be higher. Trust me, it's going to be lower or higher, but it's your own personal preference here. I cannot tell you what to put that on, okay? It's your own personal preference on how you have that. Okay, so I have this mouse acceleration on off. It does not help me when I put this on. Mouse invert obviously off. This you want off, and then lighting effects you want on. A lot of people do prefer having this off over here, so if you prefer it off, go ahead and turn it off. It literally tells you on the right hand side what this does, but with my machine I leave this on and I leave it on like this. Obviously this is just your normal stuff over here, and then something I want to go over is this over here. So now I come from other games as well. I don't just play Apex Legends, I do play a lot of other games, and I do feel that the tactical ability on E is the best, and your ultimate ability on Q is the best, and your interact would be F, alright? Now, I do have this on X, I have this at Tab, I have my map obviously at M, I have my attack obviously at left click, I have my firing mode, which is like going from burst fire to single fire, whatever the case might be, having it at B, alright? This one over here, the aim down sight, I don't have it at toggle, meaning I don't have to click right click to aim down my sight and then click right click to stop aiming through my sight. I have it over here so that I have to hold in the right click. I highly recommend that you actually do that and don't use this one. I'm pretty sure most of you already have this like this already, so just keep it as is. Now for me, I have my melee attack on V, obviously R is reload. Cycle weapons, I have mine at scroll down. A lot of people unbound this key over here because they don't want to accidentally scroll their mouse and then go through a weapon. Now, I would highly recommend that you do unbound it unless you are one of the people that only has a mouse with no side buttons. If you do have a gaming mouse right now and you're watching this video and you have side buttons on your mouse, I would highly recommend that you come down over here where it says Equip Weapon 1, select a side button on your gaming mouse. Especially if you have a gaming mouse, I would highly recommend you go ahead and use that advantage. Those side buttons that you have plays a very big role inside the game. You want to be able to go and just press one button to go to your primary weapon and then press another button to go to your secondary weapon. I would highly recommend you go ahead and do that. Holster weapon, I have mine at my scroll click in, and that's the only reason why I really have my scroll to be used. Now you can go ahead and literally just copy every single setting I have inside here at your own personal preference on what you're going to do here. Literally, it's yet again your own personal preference. I can't tell you what to do here. I can't. I cannot tell you what to do here. I literally can't, but you can copy my settings as is if you want to. It's your own personal preference. Alright, controller. I do not play with the controller, so I'm not going to go in depth with this. Video. This is where everything comes into play. Alright, so something that plays the most important role in this game is the video tab. Alright, it plays the most important role, and that's why you are here, because you want to get more frames out of your game, and you want your game to look as best it can. Alright, so the first one would be display mode. I would highly recommend you play this at full screen mode for less input latency and stuttering and stuff like that. I would highly recommend that you go ahead and put this at full screen mode. I have mine over here, the aspect ratio at 16:9, and I'm just going to point out something for people out there that can actually help you boost FPS if you have a very low end generation laptop or machine in general. You can go ahead and go to 16:10, and then have this at the highest. Okay, the quality looks very, very good. Okay, and yeah, it's going to be a stretched resolution, but you'll do way more FPS inside your game. So if you don't care about the quality of the game and playing the game at a stretched resolution, but you care mostly about your FPS, I would recommend using this over here. And if you want more FPS, you can go to this. It's still playable. It's a very stretched res, but I would recommend this if you are struggling with FPS inside this game. Like a lot. You are struggling and it's unplayable for you, or it feels really bad when you are playing, I would go with this over here. Now for me, I have this at my native and my native resolution. A lot of people have obviously 720p, 1080p, 1440p, 2K, 4K screens. That's how it goes. Then if you go to native, put it at native over here as well. Please go ahead and do that. Brightness I have at 60% because there's a lot of dark spots in the map where you can actually not see the enemies, and you want to actually see everything inside the game. The more you push this up, the more dull and washed out your game's going to look. So I would recommend 60 is the sweet spot for this game. Don't leave it at 50. But it's your own personal preference yet again. But I would recommend 60 over here. Now field of view I have at 110, so I can see more on the left and right hand side of me. And I can see more of my peripheral vision on what's happening in my game. Alright? Field of view ability scaling, I have this enabled. And then sprint view shake I have at minimal. Do not have this at normal. It's very irritating. You'll notice a big difference between these two, so I'd recommend putting this at minimal. VSync, I would highly recommend you disable this completely. Do not, I repeat, do not use these. Don't use it at all. It just makes the game worse if you put these on. Yeah, it can make it so that you get like 300 FPS and stuff like that, but it's unstable frames, and I wouldn't recommend them. So I would recommend leaving this at disable, and it would cap your FPS normally to 144 FPS, and I would recommend playing your game like that. Alright, NVIDIA Reflex is something I would highly recommend you go ahead and take advantage of, and it's for people out there with lower generation machines, and I would recommend you go ahead and take advantage of this. You are either going to put this at enable, or you're going to put it on enable plus boost. Now it literally tells you on the right hand side of your screen what this is going to do, and what it's meant to do. Now for people out there that has lower generation machines, like for instance maybe they have a high-end CPU and a lower generation GPU, or a high-end GPU and a lower generation CPU, I would recommend putting this on plus boost. If you are GPU bound or CPU bound, go ahead and put it on enable plus boost or on enable. Right now I'm running a 9700K overclock with a water cooling loop on it, an RTX 2060 OC, and 60 gigs of RAM with different timings, and I have mine on disable, and mine runs perfectly fine. It does not say that if you put this on disable, yours is going to run perfectly fine. Every single person out there has a different type of machine, so I would recommend if you're running a lower generation machine in general, go ahead and put this on enable or enable plus boost. I have mine at disable. Like I said, my game runs perfectly fine like this. I would highly recommend that you leave this at 0. You can't touch this because it's literally unhighlighted. Leave this to disable. This over here, anti-analyzing, I would highly recommend that you put this at TSAA because it actually gives you jagged edges if you put this on none. But if you want more, a slight squeeze of FPS more out of your game, put this on none. If you do not care about the jagged edges and you only care about the FPS in this game, I can literally just then tell you to put everything on low. But I'm not that YouTuber. I'm not the guy that's going to tell you to put everything on low and then that's all you need to do. Because any single person can make a video and just be like, put everything on low and you should be fine because your FPS is going to be great. No, you want to be able to see shit and your FPS must be good. Not just everything looks like dog shit and your FPS is great. No, you don't want that, okay? So anti-analyzing is your own personal preference on having it on none. So you're going to have jagged edges, but you'll do more FPS, okay? I have mine at TSAA, so I don't have jagged edges on my character, on my gun, on the objects in the game, everything that's in the game itself. I have mine at TSAA. If your machine can handle it perfectly fine without losing FPS, use it. If you are losing FPS and you don't care about the jagged edges, go with none over here. Now something I just want to point out is this here, and it plays a very big role inside this game. It plays a huge role inside this game. A lot of people do prefer this, and I've seen this in my comments on my previous video where people are saying they leave this at none. Now for me personally and my own personal opinion, and me testing this on other machines and my friends' machines and different rigs, laptops, gaming machines, low-end machines, none makes your game look like dog shit. Yes, but it gives you more FPS. But you are here not just because I'm gonna come and tell you, yo guys, put everything on low, you have the best FPS, but then your game looks like dog shit. No, I'm not a YouTuber and I'm not a content creator to tell you to put everything on low and you should be good to go. I don't do that type of videos. That's not how I roll. That's not how I do my videos. I've never done my videos like that, and I'm never going to do my videos like that. What you're gonna do inside here is this, and I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do. Okay, so none. I do not recommend none. I do not recommend it. It's fucking stupid to run this at none. Okay? Your game's gonna look like dog shit. Yes. And you'll do really good FPS, but your game's gonna look like dog shit. You're here to have visual in your game, so your game looks good, and you do really good FPS. So, very low, 2 gigs of VRAM. Perfectly fine for people out there that's running a 4 gig graphics card. You are perfectly good to go on very low. The game gives you textures and stuff like that. You don't want too much textures. You don't want to be, I don't know, like, looking at something in the game, for instance, because it looks so nice. And then you forget about, I'm not going to say you're going to forget about your enemies. Obviously, you're fucking not going to forget about your enemies. But you don't want too much visuals happening in the game to distract you, basically. All right? So I'm going to go over this. So 4 gigs of VRAM, go with very low over here. When you have a 3 gig graphics card, I would recommend this one over here where it says low. If you have a 3 gig graphics card or 2 gig, you can go with this and you should be good to go as well. Medium 3 gig, this is if you have a 4 gig graphics card, I would recommend having this over here at medium as well, or you have a 6 gig graphics card, you should be good to go. You can go with medium. Now, I run my game personally on high with 4 gigs of VRAM because I have a 6 gig VRAM graphics card. It's an RTX 2060 OC. Yes, it's not the best graphics card out there, but this is my personal option, my personal opinion, is having this at high with a 6 gig graphics card or higher. If you have a higher end graphics card, and I'm not talking about an RX 580 and stuff like that. Yes, an RX 580 is still good to go these days, even though it's a fuck old GPU. A lot of people are using that GPU because it has 8 gigs of VRAM. I would not recommend putting this up to like 6 or 8. I don't recommend it. I really don't. If you have a 24 gig graphics card or a 12 gig graphics card, don't have this at ultra, don't have it at very high, have it at high. You should be fine with this game. The game's going to cap the FPS to 144 FPS if you have the VSync disabled over here. It will cap it to 144 and it will be stable at 144. You won't get any fluctuations while playing the game, while fighting an enemy, while running in water, or whatever you do inside the game. I would recommend that you put this at 4 gigs as the highest that you're going to put this at. So high is the highest option you should be going for. Don't go over this. Don't go very high. Don't go ultra. You do not want the game itself, like the things that's happening on the screen, on the map and stuff like that, to bother you too much. You don't want too much quality in the game. I mean, it's not a single player game. Okay, if it was a single player game, I would tell you to put everything on fucking ultra, to be honest with you, or everything that to be on high to get the best, like, quality out of the game. Don't do that. These are competitive settings, so I would highly recommend that you just follow my guidelines and you should be good to go. Alright, so like I said, high is the highest you go to, and that's where it stops. Don't go higher than this. Alright? Tester filtering, I have mine at 16 times, and this is my own personal preference, and literally, like I said, everyone has their own personal preference, and it's going to be your own opinion over here on your specific rig, your specific machine that you're running. Now, I have mine at 16 times. A lot of people do put this at 4, just to lower it down to get more FPS out of the game, and then a lot of people play it at this option over here, which gives you the best FPS, and the game still looks really good. Okay? So I would recommend either this, 4x, or 16x if your machine can handle it. That's what you're going to put it on. Alright? This, disable it. You do not need this in this game. This right now with the latest season 18, I would recommend leaving this at low, this at low as well. You're going to put this on disable, this at disable, this at disable. Model detail, I have mine at high, and this is how I run my game. I run my game with these settings over here. High, medium, low, and low. But I'm going to go over this and just tell you what this does and what it can do for you as a gamer. Okay? Now, I have mine at high, and my game runs perfectly fine. But if you want a little bit more FPS, or you want your FPS to be stable, go to medium. There's not a lot of difference between high and medium, but there's a huge difference between high, medium to low. Low, there's a huge difference, okay, in the model detail and how the game looks. You're going to do more FPS, yes, but your game is not going to look as great as you want it to look. So I would recommend medium over here. Now, effects details is something you don't really need in this game. You don't really need to see the effects in the game. You want to fuck people up and that's it. So I would recommend putting this at low, but my own personal preference would still be medium over here. Impact marks, I have mine at low. A lot of people do put this at disable completely so you don't see the impact marks. It literally tells you on the right hand side, turning this down will reduce CPU load. So I would recommend, if you got a bounded CPU or it's an old CPU, disable this, okay? But if you got a decent enough CPU, go with low over here. You should be good to go. Ragdolls, always low, and this has always been a thing. A lot of people don't really care about this option over here, so just leave it at low. So all you're going to need to do is just follow my settings I have over here, and you should be good to go over here. And like I said, for people out there that wants more FPS, you're going to go to this, go to that one. I don't recommend anything lower than this. Like this over here, you don't want this. You want this or you want that. You're going to play at a stretched resolution, yes, but your FPS is going to be much better if you're running a lower generation machine. But if you're running a decent enough machine, you're going to go with native and native on your screen's resolution. Alright, from here we're going to go and apply these settings like this, and we're going to go to audio. Audio settings is your own personal preference. I can't tell you what to do here. I literally can't tell you what to do here at all. Literally, it's your own personal settings. Ladies and gentlemen, if this worked for you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're new here, and smash that motherfucking like button if this actually worked for you and it improved your FPS.